He cleaned the floors no one looked at. He lived in a room no one would notice. He survived a life no one could ever care. And one night he saved a man the world worshipped. By morning, the world would never treat him the same again. Gregory Miles had been invisible his entire adult life. Every morning at 4:30 a.m., he pushed a cleaning cart through the back entrance of a glass tower that touched the clouds. People walked past him without seeing his face, without knowing his name, without realizing a human being stood beside them. To them, he wasn't Gregory. He was the janitor. And in their eyes, janitors did not have dreams. Gregory used to be a factory worker, 15 years at the same steel plant, until one accident ended everything. A collapsed beam, a crushed shoulder, a lawsuit that barely covered the medical bills. His wife left soon after. She said couldn't live with broken men. His son was taken by her family, and Gregory was left with pain and silence. Janitorial work was all his body could handle, and still he did it without complaint. Gregory lived in a single rented room above an old grocery store. One bed, one chair, one small window that faced a brick wall. Dinner was usually bread and soup, sometimes nothing. But every night before sleeping, he whispered the same words, just keep going. No one was watching, but he still kept going. The building Gregory cleaned belongs to one of the most powerful men in the country, the kind of man whose name moved markets, whose weekend decisions affected millions. Caleb Whitmore, a billionaire, technology tycoon, philanthropist on paper, ruthless strategist in reality. Men feared him, media praised him, investors worshipped him, and Gregory emptied his trash. It was just past midnight. The building was silent except for the hum of servers. Gregory polished the marble floors on the 47th level. Then he heard it, a crash, non-metal, a human sound, a body hitting glass. Gregory followed the sound toward the executive floor and found him, Caleb Whitmore, lying on the glass corridor floor, unconscious, his face pale, his breathing shallow, the most powerful man in the building, helpless. Gregory froze. Security cameras stared. Emergency buttons waited. This man had never acknowledged him, never looked him in the eyes, never treated him as human. For one breath, Gregory considered walking away. For one breath, he imagined how easy it would be. Then he looked at the man's chest. It wasn't moving. Gregory dropped his mop and ran. He checked the pulse, weak, irregular. Gregory had taken first aid training years ago for warehouse safety. Muscle memory returned. He began chest compressions, counted under his breath, pressed until his arms shook. No response. He kept going. Sweat poured from his face. His injured shoulders screamed. Still, he did not stop. Finally, Caleb gasped. Once, then again. Gregory rolled him to his side and hit the emergency alarm. Security rushed in. Paramedics arrived. Gregory stepped back into the shadows. Blood stained his uniform. His hands trembled. No one thanked him. No one asked his name. Caleb was rushed out on a stretcher, and just like that, the janitor was invisible again. At 3:17 a.m., Gregory clocked out. No overtime, no reward, no recognition. He walked home through empty streets, shoulder burning, heart racing. He had saved a billionaire and went home to a room with no heater. At sunrise, Caleb Whitmore opened his eyes in the ICU. Doctors surrounded him. They explained everything. Cardiac arrest, immediate intervention, 5-minute window. He shouldn't be alive, the doctor said. Caleb asked one question. Who saved me? The room went quiet. We don't know. Security is checking. For the first time in his life, Caleb felt small. Security reviewed camera footage hour by hour. They saw the janitor, bent over the billionaire, performing CPR until help arrived. They zoomed the image. Blood, low light, badge unreadable. They knew only one thing. The man who saved the billionaire was the man no one ever saw. Gregory returned to the work the next night. Same uniform, same cot, same halls. No one spoke to him differently. He cleaned fingerprints from executive doors, polished floors, under shoes worth more than his yearly salary. No one knew, and he didn't tell. At 11:42 a.m. the next day, Gregory's phone rang. Unknown number. He almost ignored it. Then he answered. A calm voice said, "This is the office of Mr. Whitmore. You saved his life." Gregory sat down slowly. "We need to speak with you. Today." Gregory didn't feel excitement. He felt fear. Poor men fear powerful meetings. They rarely end well. He wore his only clean shirt, took the bus downtown, walked into the glass tower where he was usually invisible, and for the first time, everyone was staring at him. Gregory Miles stood in the lobby of Whitmore Industries like a man trapped in someone else's life. Glass walls reflected his cheap shirt. Polished floors showed his worn shoes. Employees who never noticed him suddenly whispered when he passed. He felt judged. He felt exposed. He felt scared. A young assistant approached him. "Mr. Miles, Mr. Whitmore is waiting." She said "Mr." like he was somebody. It stunned him. She led him through security, up private elevators, down a quiet corridor lined with frame awards and magazine covers, all of them showing the same face, Caleb Whitmore. The door to the billionaire's private office opened, and the man whose life he saved sat waiting, with tubes still taped to his arm and a medical monitor beside him. Not in a hospital gown, but in a suit. He had checked himself out early for this meeting. Caleb stood slowly. His voice was softer than anyone had heard in decades. "Gregory Miles," he said, "I owe you my life." Gregory swallowed. His entire body felt like it didn't belong here. "I just did what anyone would do, sir." Caleb shook his hand. "No, no, they won't." He walked closer. His eyes, usually sharp and cold, held something unfamiliar. Humanity. "You were alone on that floor," Caleb said. "No cameras watching, no reward. You still helped me." Gregory didn't know what to say, so Caleb continued. "I was dying, and you fought for me harder than the people paid millions to keep me alive." Silence filled the room until Caleb spoke the words Gregory never expected. "I need to tell you the truth about why I collapsed." Caleb turned away, gripping the edge of the table. "For 20 years, I've built this empire, worked myself sick, sleepless nights, endless stress, pills to stay awake, pills to sleep. I ignored every warning." He looked older, suddenly smaller, human. "The doctors say I'll survive, thanks to you, but they also say I may not get a second chance." Gregory listened quietly. Then Caleb surprised him again. "Gregory, I grew up poor too." Gregory blinked. Caleb nodded. "You think I don't know what struggling feels like? My father was a janitor, just like you. He worked 3 jobs, died young. No one cared. No one saw him." Caleb's voice cracked, just once. "And the night I nearly died, the man who saved me was the man the world still refuses to see." Gregory's hands trembled. He had never expected to share anything with the richest man in the city. Caleb gestured to a seat. "Sit, Gregory, please." Gregory sat, but lightly, afraid he might break something. Caleb took a deep breath. "I called you here because I want to give you something. Not charity, not a reward, a chance." He slid an envelope across the table. Gregory didn't touch it. Caleb explained, "I've set up a fund in your name. $500,000 today, right now." Gregory's breath hitched. No, sir, I can't take it. I am just a janitor. Caleb leaned forward. You're not just anything. You saved my life, and you reminded me of the man who raised me. But Gregory still hesitated. Sir, money doesn't fix everything. Caleb nodded. I know, that's why I'm not finished. He handed Gregory a second envelope. This is a full scholarship for whatever training or education you want, a new career, a fresh start. Gregory shook his head, overwhelmed. You don't understand. I'm old, I'm tired, I'm broken. But Caleb smiled, a real smile. You're not broken, Gregory. You're loyal, brave, honest. Those are things you can't buy. Then came the final offer, the one that froze Gregory's heart. And if you want, there's a position here for you. Not janitorial, not maintenance, a supervisory role, good pay, benefits, respect. Gregory stared at him. Why me? Caleb answered with one sentence. Because you saved me without needing anything from me. Caleb stood up. One more thing. He walked to a drawer, pulled out a thin black folder, and placed it before Gregory. This is confidential. Inside this folder is the real reason I collapsed. Gregory opened it slowly. Inside was a report, a medical analysis showing that Caleb's collapse wasn't just stress. Someone had tampered with his medication. Someone inside the company. Someone close. Gregory looked up, horrified. Sir, someone tried to kill you. Caleb nodded. And I need someone I can trust to help me keep this quiet until I find out who. Gregory froze. You want me to what? Help investigate? I'm not qualified. Caleb shook his head. No, I want you to be my eyes, my truth check, my reminder of where I came from. It wasn't a job. It was trust. Real trust. Will you help me? Caleb asked. Gregory took a long breath, and then he closed the folder, pushed it gently back across the table, and said, I'll take the new job. I'll take the classes. But this, he tapped the folder, this danger, this betrayal, this belongs to people stronger than me, people trained. I can't be part of something that could get me killed. Caleb stared at him thoughtfully. Most men would have taken the power, the secret, the chance to be someone important. But Gregory chose safety, integrity, peace. Caleb whispered, that was the test. Gregory blinked. Caleb smiled again, softer this time. I needed to know if you'd take the bait, if you'd seek power, if you'd dive into something reckless. You didn't. You choose honesty. Caleb extended his hand. You just proved I can trust you. 3 months later, Gregory Miles walked into Whitmore Industries wearing a clean suit. Not expensive, but his. New shoes, new ID badge, a spacious apartment, medical insurance, a refrigerator full of real food, a life with dignity. He still whispered the same words before bed, just keep going. But now, he whispered them without pain. Across the city, Caleb Whitmore worked fewer hours, took his medications properly, and every Friday at 6 p.m., he shared coffee with Gregory in his office. Not billionaire and janitor, not rich and poor, just two men who had survived life in different ways and saved each other without knowing. One with his hands, one with his heart. Gregory was no longer invisible. The world finally saw him, and more importantly, he finally saw himself.